Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of PMP's Den of Antiquities. Today, we have another awesome entry in the Star Wars Perspective podcast. And here today is Dak Jarin, aka Noah, or vice versa, depending on what you wanna go by.
AKA what?
Wait, what did I say? I thought
you said AKA Noah. You called me Noah.
Did I call you Noah? Oh no!
Yeah.
Cut it. No, Dakota. We were talking about all your all your homies, so that's why I was.
You're good.
My bad. But yeah, we'll keep it in. I don't edit. We'll keep it in.
We'll keep it in. It's funny.
It makes it authentic, It makes it authentic.
Yeah.
I'm only human. But usually the first question I ask everybody is, what got you into Star Wars, man?
I'm gonna start off by saying, Noah, that does not mean that you're more memorable than me. Second of all,
no.
I'm gonna say no. Second of all, okay. So what got me into Star Wars was ever since I was a little kid, my dad collected all like the toys that he had back in like the 80s, and he would buy one, play with it, and buy one and keep it in the package. So he still has all his old original ones in the packaging and stuff like that.
Sick.
And he would show us all that. He showed us the movies. I was too young to really pay attention to the movies in depth and want to like watch them, because you're a kid, you can't really pay attention. I mean,
yeah, you got
all over the place.
Attention span will fly.
Yeah. And I grew up with the prequels releasing, so I grew up with the prequels, and I would watch those. And those ones are more like, I feel like action-packed type, like all over the place than the original trilogy ones.
Oh yeah.
And, it's the CGI is better. But my dad got me into it early, bought us all the toys, the new prequel toys and stuff like that. So it was that, and it was a big Lego Star Wars and the Lego sets and all like that. It was just too early for me to remember, kind of. But
yeah, I got you. All right. If this is a tough one, but if you had to pick one thing that is your favorite thing about Star Wars, what kind of pulls you to Star Wars? Like, what's your favorite thing about it?
My favorite thing about Star Wars, there's so much. It's so hard to answer.
It is a tough question. Yeah.
I'd say just I don't know, it's just the fact that it pulls you out of like real life.
Yeah.
And, like kind of it pulls you out, and there's such a big universe, and there's so much to it, and it's so vast that it's just like you can become like engulfed in it, and you can just become obsessed. And that's how I feel like so many Star Wars fans become. Like, you start off with a little bit of a taste of Star Wars, and then you become obsessed with it. There's like no in between. So that's kind of what I love about it. It just pulls you in, and then everybody seems like, once you become a Star Wars fan, you're a Star Wars fan, and you're just like, it's a part of your personality now. So,
oh yeah, dude, I was watching a TikTok yesterday, and it was like that podcast, kind of like we're doing now. And this girl was like, she's like, all right, I got a hot topic to say. And I was like, oh, great. Well, like, what's going on here? And she was like, Star Wars is overrated. And like, dude, everybody like lost their mind.
No,
like,
dude, yeah.
They're like, there's so much Star Wars. How can you say it's all overrated? Like, you can't just like blanket statement. Like, they were like going off. It was so funny. But that's
I feel like somebody like that, they don't pay attention, or they haven't paid attention to it. So,
well, the thing about Star Wars is like kind of what you were saying is like, there's something for everybody. Like, if you don't like the prequels, there's the original. If you don't like the original trilogy, there's the sequels. If you don't like any of those, there's Mandalorian, there's Bad Batch, Clone Wars. Like, there's just like every media, even genres too. Like, some people didn't like Andor. Like, Andor wasn't their thing, but Andor was like the first time we've gotten like a spy thriller genre, and in Star Wars, Book of Boba Fett. Not a lot of people like that, but there wasn't really a lot of like mobster kind of genres. And you had Jabba the Hutt, but like nothing was really like prominent,
Mm-hmm.
And like, Western samurai movies and stuff like that. Like, there's like a little bit of something for everybody there.
Yeah.
But I thought that was so funny.
Range.
She said that and like instant regret. They were just like, I can't. They're like, no, I can't. You know.
That's usually how it is. Somebody talks shit about Star Wars and then they get turned on. He's like so quick.
We had some pretty big announcements this week. Have you seen the trailer for Bad Batch or Fallen Order?
I've seen the trailer for Bad Batch and Fallen Order. Or what's it called? Survivor? Whatever.
Yeah, Fallen Order, Survivor, or something like that, or Jedi Survivor.
Something like that. Yeah. Survivor looks awesome. I'm not a big fan of EA.
Same.
And how they make games and stuff in general.
100%.
But that is one thing that I like give them props on. Fallen Order was phenomenal. It was such a good game. The story was awesome. That's one of my favorite games EA has ever made, so I'm so excited for the next one.
Oh yeah.
The Bad Batch, I wasn't a big fan of the first season of the Bad Batch. So
really? Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know how this one's gonna be and if I'll enjoy it as much.
Are you a Clone Wars fan, or do you just like not get into animation, or is it just like
no? I love the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars is awesome. And at first, like, I grew up with, like, we all grew up with the Clone Wars being on, like, Cartoon Network and stuff like that coming out.
The golden days.
And I never watched the episodes as they were coming out. Like, it was hard to keep up with. Like, I'm all over the place. I rarely sat down and watched a show from episode to episode. So I recently watched, I think I watched the Clone Wars throughout its entirety. Probably like 4 years ago was the first time I watched it through its entirety, and I loved it. I wasn't into anime or like animation stuff for storytelling purposes really hugely, but I loved it. I thought it was amazing. So they tell some of the best stories in that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it covers so many characters and stuff like that. But yeah, so Bad Batch I've gotten that from a couple people that they said Bad Batch was like, it was kind of just like, it was all right. It wasn't anything like, you know, I'm so sad that they painted their armor though. Like the red and black is so cool.
Yeah.
Now it's like,
the red and black was cool.
It's more like Rebellion or something like that now. It kind of looks like they're like taking more of like a Rebels kind of stance with it. But
yeah, isn't it like green or beige and green or something like that? Or what?
It's like a combo of color. It's kind of, that's why I said like the Rebels. It's just because it's like feels like the Rebels take like all the different colors and like Mod Podging it together.
Yeah.
I know I think instead of red, it's orange. Like the stripe is orange, but I don't know what else like the. But yeah, I hope that because I think some of the later episodes in Bad Batch definitely kind of like it seemed like it felt like Clone Wars season 1 where they're trying to like find their footing. It's like this episode we're gonna learn about friendship, you know, and then as it goes on, you know, you get like the arcs with Darth Maul and like the Umbra arc and all that stuff in Clone Wars that really, and I think Bad Batch hopefully will get into some of that. Some people were pointing out that the creature that was walking kind of looked like the Zillo Beast or something like that, but it was like a modified Zillo Beast from the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how that exactly works. To me, it looked like something from like Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't know if you ever played that game, but it kind of looked like
seen
one
it.
of those.
I've never played it, but like I don't really pay too much attention like to trailers. So like
fair.
I like not to. Like I like to be surprised. So like some people sit there and they like
pick it apart,
see every frame of the trailers, and they're like, "Oh, I saw whatever in the corner," and it's like, cool. Like that's, I don't know. They left it in the trailer probably for people to find it, but like I don't know. There's nothing wrong with just waiting to watch the show, you know?
Oh, not at all, dude. I try to be like, I'm like that with basically everything besides, like, I just can't help it with Star Wars. There's something about it, but no, I completely agree. Sometimes you just want to be, the one thing that I reference about that all the time is, like, who cares? It's Fast and the Furious, right? Like those movies are goofy. This is entertaining and stuff like that. But I followed them since the beginning. I like the first one, and like they're entertaining to watch. And they in the last one, whatever, they brought Han back, which was the Asian guy from like Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
And they showed that in the trailer. I'm like, why would you show that in the trailer? Like he's supposed to be dead. Like you want to see that in the theater and flip out.
I thought they confirmed that he was dead though, too.
I think
they brought him back.
Yeah, man, it's Fast and the Furious. It's nothing like in depth. You're just going there to see some cars fly through space or something like that.
Yeah, through space. Yeah,
fighting Godzilla and like drifting around
everything.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they haven't mixed it with Star Wars yet.
Dude, yeah, I'm sure if they let Vin Diesel, he probably would. He'd probably be like, "Come on, one last ride." I'm surprised he hasn't done anything with Guardians since he's like he voices Groot and stuff like that. Right, family. So, to divert off of Star Wars just for a second, because I know you're a big Guardians fan. I didn't know that that's not Groot, creature that is now in the Guardians. Like Groot died in the first movie. Yeah. And now it's like his son or like his like sapling or something like that.
Yeah, it's not the same Groot. Yeah.
I had no idea. I don't follow like Marvel as close as Star Wars, but like that was kind of a shocker to me. Like it was like, whoa, that's interesting.
It seems like a lot of people didn't know that. That seems like a lot of people were in the dark about that. I think James Gunn tweeted though that's how it was. Like Groot was not his old self or whatever. He's basically, like you said, like his son or like just another person in general.
Ah, okay. So what did you think of the holiday special? Or have you seen it?
I've seen it.
What did you think about it?
I loved it. I thought it was great. It was such a fun time. Yeah, it was so cool. Yeah. It was campy, but it was supposed to be. So
yeah. Well, I think they were kind of spoofing off of Star Wars a little bit, like the holiday special for Star Wars, how it was kind of cheesy and like kind of just everybody clowns on it, you know. I thought Kevin Bacon was funny, like he like stealing Kevin Bacon and stuff like that. But and then
Kevin Bacon was awesome.
We got the trailer for it too. What did you think about that? And then we'll hop back to Star Wars after this, obviously. But.
The Guardians 3, right? Yeah, the trailer for that.
Yeah.
I think it's probably going to be the saddest MCU movie to date. I'm not ready for it because, like, I love the Guardians and I like the team aspect. Those are my favorite MCU movies. 1 and 2 are both in my top 2 favorite MCU movies. I can deal with some people like, you know, getting killed off like Rocket or something. I don't want to see Star-Lord being killed off. That's the one thing. Like, I do not want Star-Lord to die. I feel like he's going to be, though. I feel like him and Rocket are going to be killed off.
Really? You think so? You think so? Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like, so I'm not super like I've seen all the movies and stuff like that, but I'm not as like diehard as Star Wars. But I had it because like James Gunn is directing like DC now, right? Like, after this, he's flopping teams. But yeah,
he's the head of it. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like the whole he's like Kevin Feige for DC.
Although he already directed some DC stuff, but like he's
I think
already
he did the Suicide Squad, right? That was the
and Peacemaker, I believe. He did that too.
Okay. I didn't know I've seen a little bit of Peacemaker. I didn't finish it, but John Cena is funny as hell. So
no, he's really good in that. Yeah, that was a good show.
But kind of flopping back to Star Wars. I did want to talk to you about that because I know how big of a Guardians fan you are. But flopping back to Star Wars, what kind of got you into cosplay? Like, what made you want to take that kind of first leap?
So when I was younger, when I was like, it stems back to being younger again. Like, it all stems from, I really liked like dressing up. Like, I used to dress up as Woody from Toy Story. When I was like really R.I.P. God, we don't bring that up. But from Toy Story, I used to dress up as him when I was a really little kid, and my parents could not get me out of that costume. Like, they could not. They would be like, "You have to take it off so we can wash it," and I would cry until it was clean so that I could put it back on. But like, I just always loved dressing up, and I went to Niagara Falls Comic Con when I was around like 10, 11 years old, and I saw the 501st there, and I saw some shock troopers phase 2 shock troopers, and I took a picture with them, and I was in awe, dude. Like their suits were so cool, and I was like, "This is awesome! Adults do this stuff. Like this is sick." So I did that, and then years passed. I was like in high school, sophomore of high school, and I was like, "Oh, I want to save up to get a Boba Fett suit," but little did I know it was that expensive. So I was looking at buying the Rubies one that was like $800, but then I looked up reviews on it. It was awful condition, or like awful, like it was terrible. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to save my $800. And then I ended up going to Galaxy's Edge for the first time the month before The Mandalorian was released. So I think it was September of 2019. Mandalorian was released in November of 2019, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so I went there, and I remember seeing Boba Fett walking around when he was still in the parks. Boba Fett and Darth Vader, and they had the whole march and stuff like that. And that's when I was like, I'm doing it. Like I'm buying a suit. And the next month, the Mando came out, and I was like, I'm doing him. I'm doing him instead. So then I was like, all right, I'll jump into it, and I never really looked back. So.
Nice. Okay. Well, I wanted to kind of talk to you about that because I think you're, as far as like screen accuracy goes, man, like every TikTok and reel that I see you in, man, I mean, you literally look like you just hopped off set. Can you kind of talk about your process and your kind of trials and tribulations of like creating your cosplay?
Yeah. So, I don't know, like, but none of the viewers know that I didn't personally make the suit or any of it. I just had it all commissioned. The makers are unbelievably talented. But when I first ordered and like started buying stuff, the suit, I was like a novice in cosplay. I just started. So I started ordering stuff just willy nilly. Like I thought like, oh, that looks good, I'll buy it. Nobody was making the armor yet for the Beskar version, because it was like it had like 3 episodes out when I wanted to order it of the Beskar. So I come in contact with a guy. I'm like, oh yeah, can you make this? And he's like, yeah, there's some files out, and I think I could do it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm waiting like 6 months. He makes it. I finally get it during the pandemic, when the pandemic's going on. He ships it. I get it. And at the time, I thought it was awesome. I thought it looked really good at the time, because I didn't really have an eye for it. You know, like I just.
You also get that starstruck kind of thing. Like you're like, oh man, I finally got the armor. Like
yeah, like oh, it's my first. Yeah, it's my first props or anything like that. So like I got that, and then I was like, oh, like hey, this is cool. Started getting the flight suit and all that together, and it was like okay, this is coming together. And then I got it all together, and the problem that I made was, I started making TikToks of my suit, and then I started watching the show over, and I was like, these suits don't look the same. I was like, these don't look close enough. And that bugs me to like, it was unbelievably like, I don't know. Some people are perfectionists, some aren't. Like some people care about certain things, some don't. I cannot stand if I'm like, doing something, I want it to look like perfect. I want it to look dead on. I want it to look like I stepped off the set. So I had to replace. I have bought 3 different helmets so far. This helmet that I have behind me is the Anovo, so it's the one that's used from the screen used prop. It's whatever prop.
Okay. Oh yeah, so they like have like a cast or a scan from it or something.
Yeah,
is it
so it's
printed or is it resin cast?
No. It's resin cast. Yeah.
Okay. Cool,
so,
cool.
Yeah. And they made those, but I heard that the paint and the visor was see-through. So I had that repainted, and I had a new visor put in it and stuff like that. So, and I had new armor sets made. I currently reordered the Mandalorian armor. So I have a new set coming in, because I'm not happy with the set that I have, even though like everybody's like, oh, it's perfect. I'm not happy with it.
Well, you're just saying, because I don't know if it was on our podcast or maybe it was one that I was listening to with you guys in it. You said you had switched to like some of your stuff was like cast or 3D printed, and you're switching to rubber now, right? Or harder style rubber, right?
Yeah. So that's that's what going to Star Wars Celebration. I know you were there, right? So
I wasn't there.
No, you weren't at Star Wars Celebration. I recommend it. Next time you have to go. I mean,
dude, well, London. I was gonna go, but then they're like, "Hey, we're doing it in London." And I was like, "Well, I'm out."
Well, yeah, so am I. But like the one next after London.
Oh yeah, which is that I'll have my boba done by then, and hopefully a couple more. So
yeah, we can get like pics together. I'll have my new Dune done. So then we went to Star Wars Celebration. Disney walked up to me and was like, "Oh, do you want to be in this documentary that you might be in it? Like, we might have you in it. Oh, like, can you sign this NDA and stuff like that?" So I was like, "Yeah, I do that." It was actually the documentary they did on the making of Obi-Wan. At the end of it, when they show Star Wars Celebration, that's what it was. I didn't end up making it, unfortunately.
Boo, I mean, Disney.
Boo, yeah, boo. But one of the directors of the show, like a co-director, came up to me when I was with Brendan and Noah, and they were like, "Dude, your suit is the closest one I've seen to like the set one." So I was like,
"Catch me as a stunt double, bro. Come on."
I was like, "That's the best compliment you can ever make." Yeah. Like, hire me then. Like, I'm right here. So
hell, like a step in, you know how like they have to like choreograph like where everybody's gonna step and stuff like that. Just be like, "Hey, I'll just walk on set and just be like
I'll just walk there, yeah. I'll stand right here. I don't care if you pay me. I'll pay you."
literally though.
So I'm like, I got that and I was like unbelievably just overwhelmed. And I was like, that is the best compliment you could ever receive for any, like for cosplayers. That's the ultimate compliment. Especially for ones that are going for screen accuracy. Like that's, there's nothing better than that. And then I met some prop makers for the show, and they told me that the show used armor was rubber. Same with Boba Fett's armor in Book of Boba Fett. It's rubber.
Really? I didn't know about that.
So other than the helmet, all the shoulders and the chest and the knees and all that is all made of rubber. It's very tough rubber, but it's rubber.
That makes sense because I guess with 3D printing, if it's a thin print, you can see but there's a shot where I saw like a screenshot of Boba and you can like see through his shoulder piece that sticks out. I guess the sun's hitting it just right and you can kind of see like the illumination through the shoulder piece. And I guess with rubber that would kind of make more sense, but it would make sense, man. They're like taking hits. And I mean, that fight I was watching the other day, Mando fighting Cara Dune. Like if you had a 3D print and like that dude slams the ground hard when she like hits him or whatever, like those 3D prints are going to break. The resin casts are going to break. The rubber makes sense, honestly, with how much they're.
Dude, just from traveling to Celebration and to New York Comic Con, my suit that I currently have has taken such a beating. And that's why I'm like, okay, I want it to be as accurate as it could possibly be. And I want to be able to like maintain it. I'm spending all this money on it. I want it to stay like intact. So I have a rubber set being made, and I actually have a friend that painted the actual thing.
Oh, nice, dude.
So it will be made out of the same stuff, and it will be painted by the guy that actually painted the Mandalorian. So
dude, that's sick.
It'll be as close to the screen used one as it possibly could be. So that's when I'll stop. That is when I'll be like, okay,
like I'm done. Going back to kind of like the wear and tear, like how, because I was telling you I'm painting a Mandalorian helmet for a client of mine right now. How easy does that stuff like scratch? Are you like waxing that thing all the time? Like how does like I feel like the fingerprints and the scratches would just be like insane.
Fingerprints are not even a problem. I don't even think about them, which is so weird because you would think so, but nothing, like anything that you see like that doesn't look perfect, it probably just look like battle damage or something like that, or like scuffs that he might have, because it's not like perfect on the show.
No.
But yeah, that's that. I don't buff it or anything. But yeah, the armor stuff, other than traveling with it, is usually easy to maintain. The stuff that's difficult for cosplay to maintain is the soft goods. Like your body has to stay the exact same. And even if it doesn't stay the exact same, like throughout like the however long you're cosplaying the character, it's just like stuff starts to rip and stuff's like, So
yeah, that's one thing I was nervous about because I like to work out and stuff like that, and like not that I'm like gonna like explode or anything like that anytime soon, but like I'm always worried of like making armor or something like that. Then like I'm like, man, like 3 years down the line, like what if I'm like bigger and then I have to like remake everything because I can't fit in that stuff anymore. It's an interesting kind of thing to go about, I guess.
Yeah, but hey, man, I mean, if you look better, then hey, upgrade the armor.
Yeah,
then, you know?
I guess so. I guess it's right. It's
you'll look better in it. So
what a problem to have. I got bigger, so I gotta make better, like bigger and better.
Yeah,
armor.
I mean that's what happened with my flight suit for Din. I used to be a lot chubbier and like smaller in certain areas, and then I lost a good amount of like weight in my hips and stuff, and my pants got loose, and I ripped my shirt. I ripped it at celebration.
No.
Yeah. So down the seam of the zipper, I bent over to like take a picture with a little kid, and you could just hear it go shh, and I'm like, oh no.
Speaking of that too, how is your visibility and like movement and stuff like that? Like, do you have to have like somebody like with you, kind of walking around, or you feel good, kind of just like putting it on and kind of going when you're at like conventions and stuff?
Most people have a handler.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know Noah and his Vader. He probably should have a handler because the visibility out of the Vader helmet is.
Oh, I can imagine
awful.
It's awful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awful, and same probably with the stormtroopers. They need a handler too. The anything where there's the helmet with just the 2 eye holes, and you're like that, like the visibility's awful. So I feel like the Mandalorian is not as bad because you kind of have peripheral vision, you know.
Yeah, because it has like the kind of wraps, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So compared to other cosplays, I feel like the vision's good. As far as the helmet goes, it gets sweaty in there. I mean, you're gonna want to carry like or have like a wrap on your head or something like that, like a balaclava or something like that to keep your head to keep your hair down or out of your face and stuff like that. But
right. Okay.
I mean, the movement. The only thing I feel like the only reason why the movement would be hindered, especially for the Mandalorian, would be just to be careful because you don't want to damage your own stuff that you worked on and you have. But I don't think the movement is necessarily difficult. But the only time I'm like, anytime you see me like moving and at a con, I'm like moving kind of slow just because I don't want to like hit people and damage stuff. And with the rubber armor, it might be different. I might be just throwing
just like throwing elbows. Get out of here.
But yeah, that's the main reason for that.
I'm blanking right now on you. Do you do the jetpack with Din, or are you no jetpack? Okay, so how is that? Because that's one thing I was kind of curious about with I'm printing off I have like most of Boba's jetpack printed off. I have like a couple little pieces left, but I'm just like, damn, man, this thing's gonna be like a freaking bag of bricks on my freaking back. Like, how does that kind of fit? Is yours like hollowed out? Like, what is your kind of jetpack, and how does that kind of work with everything?
Did you print it as like complete like solid pieces?
So it's not. I'm trying to see if I have like something that like, so it has like infill. Like I don't know how like versed you are in 3D printing, but like basically it's not solid on the inside. It has like, so I do like I think they're called like gyroids or something like that. So it's like little squiggles. It looks like little squiggles on the inside. Mm-hmm. So it's not completely hollow and it's not completely like solid, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
I played football and stuff like that growing up. So I'm used to having like armor and like, or like pads and shoulder pads on. So I'm kind of used to that kind of feel, but I was curious because I've heard a lot of people say that like carrying around a jetpack all day, it's like they recommend you to like pick a character that doesn't have like a backpack or a jetpack or something because it can be rough. So I was curious.
My jetpack is the weight of it isn't too bad. I have like a metal bracket that hangs out like on the center of my back. It has 2 like hooks. And I think it's pretty similar to Boba's. Maybe I don't know if it is. I haven't. I'm doing Boba. I just haven't really looked too much into it yet. But
which Boba are you doing?
Like
just side note, real quick.
I'm doing. I do want to do Book of Boba, I'm not
Mhm.
doing Book of Boba for like a long time, but I
Right.
want to do it eventually.
Mhm.
The Boba that I'm heading after first is probably Return of the Jedi Special Edition. So
Okay. What's the different in the
Yeah.
special edition one? Is there
Special
like a-
Edition Boba Fett for Return of the Jedi has the Empire Strikes Back helmet
Oh,
and the Return
okay.
of the Jedi armor. So
Okay.
yeah, it's I think it was because they had to do reshoots and they didn't have the Return of the Jedi helmet, so they used the Empire Strikes Back helmet. But I'm not exactly sure what it was for. The armor and stuff like that has slightly different too. Like there's slightly different damaged pieces to it. So it's a different costume. It's the Boba Fett costume that they use in Battlefront 2 is the Return of the Jedi special.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm about that.
So that's the one I'm going to do. This is the Return of the Jedi just hero helmet, just the regular Return of the Jedi. I got it because I was going to do Return of the Jedi and then I changed my mind. So
I got you.
I have to get another one.
I feel you.
What were we talking about?
The jetpack. Sorry, my bad. You just said Boba Fett, and I was like Boba Fett. But yeah, just like the weight and feel of the jetpacks. You were saying you had hooks and a bracket in the back.
Yeah, and it's kind of like just a harness that you have that I put. So I put on my flight suit, and then I'll put on the harness for the jetpack. Well, I'll put on my flight suit. Yeah, and then I'll put on the harness. And then you put the vest because he has his vest, and I pull the vest over, and there's 2 holes in the back of the vest that I just put the hooks into, and then I can just put the jetpack on it, and I have the hooks on it, and then I have 2 magnets on the bottom connected to the bottom of the bracket so that it kind of doesn't like wiggle around on the hooks. It's sturdy on it.
Yeah.
But wearing wise, I never wore it for a long time until Celebration. I mean, it looks awesome. I love how it looks. It completes the look. But man, it sucks.
Yeah.
It hurts. It hurts, dude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one thing about Boba that I'm like, because he has the style of jetpack's the same, but the difference is like Din kind of has like a little chrome like piece at the very top, whereas Boba has that giant freaking rocket that like sticks out his backside. So I'm just like, oh man, I don't know about that, but we'll see how it goes.
The thing is though, is I feel like Boba's jetpack can be a little bit looser because it hangs lower on his back.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Not on the Book of Boba one. The Book of Boba jetpack is attached straight to the back plate, so I feel like it has to be up high. Whereas the regular Boba Fett's Return of the Jedi Empire Strikes Back, you can see it's on straps and it's kind of hanging a little bit off the 2 straps that go through the back plate. So
right.
So it hangs lower, whereas Book of Boba's and Din's are like high on their back. So I feel like that's more tense, whereas the regular Boba might be more comfortable. But I don't know if it's. We were wearing it for. I was wearing it for like the entire con, so it could have just been like my body was breaking down by the point. But it's also like suspenders. Like I was wearing suspenders on my pants, and I found that when I wore the costume without the jetpack, my shoulders still hurt from the suspenders. So I feel like it maybe
it's the weight pulling you down.
Yeah, so I feel like maybe it wasn't the jetpack as much. Like it added to it, but the suspenders were a big problem for that. So
yeah, I can imagine.
You won't have to because it's a full bodysuit.
Right. Yeah, I'm interested to see kind of like I like what you were saying, talking about like the layers and stuff like that. How did you figure out because like obviously like when you're buying the stuff, maybe there is when you buy the stuff. There's no like really instruction manual. How did you figure like, okay, this layer goes on first, then this layer needs to go above this, and then like that's not like, was it just trial and error? Did like they send you something when you bought it? Like how did you kind of figure out the system for that? Because I know there's like multiple steps for it.
Yeah, a lot of trial and error, and a lot of like looking at set photos, because there's photos of like. You can see Pedro standing there, or Brendan standing there, or Latif, any of them. And they're standing there without their jetpack, and then the cape's up to the side, and you can see 2 hooks sticking out of the vest for his jetpack. So it's kind of like, okay, so that's I mean, the harness or whatever, the bracket has to be hiding. Like, you can't see it, so you have to hide it under something. And it would be pointless to have it going through the top of the flight suit when a vest covers it anyways. So it's just kind of like looking at set stuff, piecing it together. A ton of other creators also help out. Like, they post everything on the Facebook groups and stuff like that. People are on top of this stuff, dude. All day.
I know,
so
right?
It's crazy. It's absurd.
Yeah, I follow because I want to do Hunter eventually from Bad Batch, just because like red and black are my favorite colors, and I've always wanted to do a sort of like a clone trooper style. And I always butcher his name. I think it's Jedi's. His name's Hunter in real life.
Jedi, yeah.
Yeah, Jedi. Dude, his cosplays are like that Bosk one that he has. I know that's not like what we were talking about, but like it's like spot on. I feel like his Hunter's spot on. I want to say he has a Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, but he has a
Return of the Jedi Special Edition Boba Fett.
Okay, so he does have that one. Yeah,
he has the one that I want to do, and his Boba Fett is so perfect. It's so good.
Literally looks like Boba Fett just like strolling. He jumped out of the Sarlacc pit and just started walking around, dude. It's crazy.
I mean, I become less impressed with Boba Fett's because you see so many of them now.
Yeah,
there's so many. But his Bosk that I saw at Celebration is unbelievable.
Oh, you saw like in person?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Dude. It was crazy.
Yeah, I was following him throughout that whole thing. I'm like, dude, that's so freaking cool. Like,
no, yeah, it is pretty sick. He's quite the maker. He makes like droids and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I just saw his R2 unit that he made. I was like, man, that's like, I'm just like, you're doing all that I want to do. I just haven't had time to like get it done yet. So it's like cool to see, you know.
Yeah, so I'm a cosplayer and I cosplay characters, but he builds it and cosplay. Like, that's awesome. The fact that he builds the stuff, it's just crazy to me.
Well, I think both have their place. I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting this. Honestly, like, I've thought about it so much. It's like it's that rock in a hard place because I know that I can make it, but it's like, do I have the time to sit there and like have like my OCD and like, because I'm kind of like you, whereas like I'll sit there and like I'll repaint a helmet like 5 or 6 times. That's why like I have like I don't know if you can see it, but I have a Stormtrooper helmet. I have a Din helmet, and then I have like an unfinished Phase 2 clone. Just because I'm so OCD, like if I don't like it, I'll like start over. You know, just like. So
just keep it unpainted so that you can just say that you never had.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just like no worries. Also, too, it's just I do this. I've talked about this on the podcast and stuff like, but I 3D print stuff for like a living, and I do all that stuff. So it's like when I'm done with the day, I'm like, man, I just got done sanding and bondoing and painting all day long. Like,
is that your job?
Yeah. So
that's
I do
awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Awesome.
I do like a 3D printing business where like I 3D print. Right now, I'm doing a lot of Lego stuff, but eventually, I kind of want to be, like I said, like the Hunter from like the Jedis and stuff like that, where like you make and like sell stuff. Maybe not to like that complexity, because like, as you know, like trying to make cosplays for people must be like a freaking.
Key to that is molds. That's
mold. I haven't got into that yet.
You have to learn molding. You have to. I need you to learn molding, dude, because that is the key to just efficient like selling. Mm-hmm. High quality stuff. Like, that's how all the Mando makers do the helmets. They print one master, make a mold out of it, and then they just burn them out like it's like nothing. So and they're made out of higher quality stuff. So
true. Yeah, well, 3D prints over time too. I love 3D printing to death, and like that's probably going to be a lot of my cosplays. But like over time, like it's fine for like the first year or two, but you know, you start getting to like year 3 or 4, and that stuff starts getting real brittle and breaking out, being out in the heat and stuff like that. Like it can get warped and all that jazz. So I'm definitely like I said, I'm still kind of like, this is like my second year. This is my first year of doing it kind of like full time. I like basically went full time like in July. So yeah. So quite a bit of a leap.
Doing well though for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's not doing as well as I wanted to, but I can't complain because it's enough to where I can still like do all this stuff and do what I want to and not have to like go work some like job flipping burgers.
You're your own boss, man.
Or I want to stab my eyes out, because like that's not me. I've had so many of those BS jobs that's just like
you're your own boss. That's the best thing. So
yeah, for sure.
If it wasn't difficult, nobody or everybody would do it. So
yeah. Also, dude, I just love doing it. Like I was listening to you said it in like a story one time. You were talking about like accurate Mando helmets, because the one that I have printed right now, I think it's from it's like Do 3D or something like that.
Do 3D.
Yeah, because he had a free file for it, but his is like so thin. Like the sides, like right here, snap real bad.
Yeah, they do.
On it. Like I have one that I printed that's just sitting there. I think I'm gonna make it like a weathered, beat up one, but the sides cracked real bad on it.
That's actually the first set of armor that I was talking about was DO3D files. So
really, okay.
Yeah. So then the maker was using DO3D files, but then when Great Ape came out with his, everybody uses the Great Ape files now. They're
that's what I've heard. Yeah, so I'm definitely like looking at his stuff. I think what was the other one that you had said, like the one that your Mando and behind was from?
Oh, that's a Novos. That's just a company. They don't offer the files. They just make the stuff. So
yeah, but this is where I'm just even like looking at like reference, because I feel like you have a really good eye for like the accuracy of Mando, and eventually I'd like to do a Mando because his armor's like the sickest thing out there.
Yeah.
But like I would like to like model stuff myself and do that stuff. So I always try to find like the most screen accurate like stuff. I mean, obviously you can see it in the movies and the show, but when you're modeling it, like light distorts everything, which I'm sure you know, like film sets and stuff like that. And when you're seeing like an actual accurate model just like rendered, it's a lot easier to kind of get the references from and stuff like that. So
yeah, you can. It's just like the problem with the Great Ape. Everybody used the Great Ape for everything. Everybody was like, oh, this is where I'm getting my armor, my helmet and stuff like that. And it's great. The Great Ape armor is like masterclass. That's the gold standard, what everybody uses. The helmet though, what I would get annoyed with, because I had the Great Ape, it was my second helmet. I would get annoyed with the front looks good, but you would notice anytime you've seen a side angle of the Mandalorian, his you know how his faceplate comes together like that, like it meets at the visor. The Great Ape is straight. It comes out straight. Whereas on the show,
it's like angled.
It's very angled. It's very like it's a sharp angle down. So anytime you see it, it's like straight down, and it looks more menacing from the side. And it really I think personally, it really completes like a look for me, at least. Like I notice it a lot. That's why I was like, all right, I have to get the Novos one, or one of them that's like from the original.
Yeah, I think that's what you were saying in your story too, because I remember you were saying like on the side, like the indentation to where it starts, it goes straight here and then it kind of bends down. You were saying that like in one of your Instagram stories or something like that. And I was like, wow, I would have never really noticed, because like I haven't like really analyzed his armor and stuff like that. Like it's just something that would have gone completely over my head. You only
know it if, and people tell me this all the time, they're like, the only person that's going to notice is you. And it's like, that's the
most important one.
That's all I care about. I get that you guys like the suit. You're going to like it better when I like it better. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's, you never know until you're doing the character yourself. So like I was talking to Noah about this. He was sending me pictures of a Vader that he thought was good, but not quite there yet. And he's like, can you tell me what the difference is? And I'm like, no, because I don't know what like I'm looking for exactly and stuff like that. And same with him, with Din, he'd send me one. He's like, oh, this one looks good. I'm like, yeah, it's all right. Like, but like, you never know until you're actually doing it. And you'll get there when you're doing Book of Boba Fett. So you're gonna become obsessed too.
Dude, he has so many like little what I'm not really worried about the armor. I'm worried about the soft goods. Because he has so many and it's hard to see because it's the down part about wearing black out in like the sun and the desert and all that stuff. Like it's just like black hides so much stuff. So there's so many like little embroiders and like little not as bad as like Kylo Ren's, where his is kind of like feathered, but like Boba Fett kind of has some of that stuff like on the side. Like I'm just like, oh man, like I'm gonna have to like really like deep dive into this. But what would you? Oh. Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was just going to say, what would you suggest for somebody who wants to start a Mando cosplay but doesn't really know kind of like which direction to kind of take the first leap? What would you recommend to them?
I'd say it's kind of hard to like, because there's so many pieces, so I don't know which piece you should probably get first. I mean, I guess that's your choice. I'd say buy a helmet that you like first, that you think looks good. I mean, you don't have to buy the Anovos. You don't have to buy the EFX, the prop replica ones, and get them redone or whatever like that. I'm just a crazy person. The thing is like, you can buy any prop maker. A lot of prop makers make really good helmets. Start with a helmet. You get the helmet. If you like the helmet and you think, okay, I want to make the next step in getting the rest of the suit, then go from there. And if you decide you don't want to, you still got a badass Mandalorian helmet. I mean, like, that way you at least have a prop. Like, you don't want to start with like a bodysuit and then you're like, well, I got this bodysuit that I can't use or I can't even display it or anything, you know, and I don't want to do the suit anymore. So like, yeah, it's start with the helmet. It's the most iconic piece. I'd say that with any of the helmeted characters, really. So
for sure,
a Jedi, start with the lightsaber.
Yeah, for sure. So, going, this is probably the longest and hardest question I'm going to ask you. Besides the what's your favorite thing about Star Wars? That's probably the hardest one. But
yeah, that one's tough.
Going from Phantom Menace to Rise of Skywalker, can you name one thing from each movie that's kind of special to you? Okay, so I feel like I'm gonna give you some plain Jane answers on some of these. It's your story, man. You tell it. But on the Phantom Menace, I really loved pod racing. Oh yeah, pod racing pulled me into it. They made a pod racing game. I love the pod racing game. Did you ever play the arcade one where you sat in the pod racer and like you move? Oh, dude. Okay. No. If you ever go to like, I don't know how like much you go to like Dave. I don't even know if it's in Dave & Buster's anymore. That's gotta be an old game, man. Yeah, but like, man, you can like sit in it and like it's like the handles. You can move them back and forth. That's cool as hell. So, but it's the same N64 pod racer. Yeah, that's the one I love playing was the N64 one, and on Lego Star Wars and the pod racing too. So also, how have we not gotten a freaking pod racer video game, dude? That seems like that would be gold. Like a multiplayer, like competitive pod racing game. Like are you kidding me? I don't make your own pod racer. Like Need for Speed or like Midnight Club or something like that. Make that for pod racing. They've been failing with the Star Wars games tremendously, dude. It's so sad. I know we're talking about movies and stuff like that. It's so sad though, because I feel like Lucasfilm or Lucas Games or whatever before Disney bought it, like there wasn't really like, there were some okay Star Wars games, but I feel like most of them slapped. Like most of them were like iconic, you know. And like what was it, Lucas Art or whatever made? Yeah, I think it's Lucas Arts. Yeah. But getting back to the question, that was Phantom Menace. I'd say that we go on too many tangents. Attack of the Clones. I'd have to say the Geonosis battle, like the arena battle. I always love that, like how hectic it looks. It's so cool. I also love Django. Django is one of my favorite things from Attack of the Clones, because I loved Boba. So I saw Django, and then he was talking to Boba, and I'm like, oh, that's Boba Fett. Oh shit! So like it was that was a cool aspect to see. Revenge of the Sith. I'd have to say. Revenge of the Sith is just such a complete. It's like everything. I love everything about it, but that you can't top that Mustafar fight with. Oh, dude, it's great. Anakin. It's just longest sword fight in the film. Their dialogue is so like the way Anakin's talking to him, and just like the fact that I know that dialogue and I don't even have to watch the movie just says it enough. Like, you know, so. Well, I don't know if you've seen those shirts that like they have like the first letter of like the entire dialogue. And like, I'm like, I know the dialogue that well that I know exactly what that shirt says. Exactly. And it's just like, I am, you know, like it just goes. It's so funny. No, I've seen that and I've read it off and I'm like, how the fuck did I just do that? This one's tough because A New Hope, I like it, but it's not my favorite. I have to say, I'd have to say that time, like in A New Hope, where they're building up to leaving Tatooine. I really like that. So like when they meet, are they going to meet Han Solo? Yeah. When they meet Han Solo and Mos Eisley, I really like that like whole like kind of feeling.
It feels like Star Wars to me. That's what the epitome of Star Wars feels like to me. It's just classic. It feels so classic.
Well, that's one thing because I just went to Galaxy's Edge like over the summer for like the first time, and like I felt like they nailed that with Oga's Cantina, because I felt like I was walking into the cantina.
Yeah,
when I was doing it,
they did really well with that, dude. They do so well with that.
That's so cool. I was like sad because like I think his name's like Rex or something like that, the robot.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, I kind of want to see a Bith though, like doing the little. Like,
oh my god, I know, right? And like the Cantina band or something like that. Just if they have animatronics, they can toss a Cantina band in there.
Well, they do that for Kylo Ren in the First Order ride. Like he's like when he like comes out or whatever, he's like an animatronic thing. I'm like, just do that. Have like. Because like I think that would be cool too if like they could like so one day it's Rex or I forget his name, like the robot, then have the Max Rebo band, and then have like I forget what the Bith band's called, but have them playing the Cantina music. Like you could just kind of swap them out. So it's
a different experience every time. That'd be awesome. That would be really cool. Yeah. Maybe if they change like the seating too, like if they change like the seating stuff to look like Mos Eisley maybe a little bit, that'd be cool too.
Yeah, but, for sure.
That was A New Hope. Empire Strikes Back. I love Cloud City. Cloud City is so cool. Vader grabbing Han Solo's blaster, just like, oh, won't you join us? That is so badass. Boba Fett standing behind him is so badass. I love that. Return of the Jedi. That would have to be
real quick though. Going back to when Boba comes in, I didn't realize I'd seen it a million times. It's a great movie. I didn't realize that they added spurs when he walked.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has like because like I was always confused because everybody in the Mandalorian was like, "That's Boba Fett. That's Boba." I'm like,
I was that guy. I was like, "Oh, it's Boba Fett."
I was like, "How do you know that that's Boba Fett?" And then somebody said like an Empire. You hear his kind of boots kind of jingling, and I went back and watched it, and I was like, "Today I'm this years old when I learned that Boba Fett has like spurs when he walks."
It's like it was like a cult thing. It was like only like people that are like, I'm a Boba Fett fan and a Star Wars fan second. Like that's
right. Yeah, I feel you.
So that's how I was. Like I was obsessed with Boba Fett, and I watched it with my dad. It's like just something that I do. Like we watched every Star Wars episode that comes out together.
Nice.
And I saw that after scene, and I was like, that's Boba Fett. Like that Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah, he's like,
I know that. Yeah. So, I was like, that's Boba Fett. And he was like, how the hell do you know that's Boba Fett? I'm like, it's the spurs. He's the only one with the spurs in Star Wars. And he's like, Boba Fett's dead. I'm tired of hearing about this. So like, okay. And then Boba Fett comes back, and I'm basically like, you old bastard. You don't know anything. So, I love the spurs, though. That's such a cool, like, add-on to the character that they do. I like that. So, add that to the Empire Strikes Back list. The spurs are sick. Anything with Boba Fett is sick. Seeing the slave one.
It's Boba Fett starship, dude.
All right, sorry. I won't make that mistake again. So, Return of the Jedi, I'd have to say it's a tie between Dagobah. Really like Dagobah. That scene where just Yoda dies and just him leaving Dagobah. I like that scene a lot. That's in Return of the Jedi, right? I'm calling that right. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes they mix together. So.
Dude, I mean, especially if you haven't seen them, like we watch Star Wars like religiously, and there's so much of it that you're right. It just kind of sometimes it bleeds together. Like Luke goes to Dagobah twice. He goes into Empire, then he goes to Return.
Yeah.
That was.
So I like that, and then I like the barge fight, Jabba's barge fight, where Boba ultimately ends up dying for 30 years. So I love that scene. I think it's hilarious that they accidentally kill Boba Fett, and like just them fighting from the barges to the little sand things. I don't know. I think it's really cool. I like that scene.
Oh yeah, you gotta love the force kick or whatever that Luke. I don't know if you've seen that meme where like Luke kicks, but the guy it's like force kick. Yeah.
Well, everything's force. Anytime something's messed up, you blame it on the force.
For sure.
I mean, like, I guess you also have to say like the fight scene with Vader and Luke on the Death Star too. when the Emperor ultimately ends up dying. There's just so much in that movie that is like such
Return of the Jedi is
moments.
great. It's so good. So such an iconic movie. I think for me, it's like Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi. Like those two kind of flop for my first and second place.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll add like Empire in there and a new. Like it really just depends on the flavor, but most of the time it's Revenge of the Sith.
Most of the time for me, it's Revenge of the Sith and Empire, but Return of the Jedi it's like my top 3, top 4 in there. So
it's crazy how they switch. Like it's never like I always like some people ask like, and that's what this question used to be is like, oh, like rank all your Star Wars movies. And I'm just like, man, it's just not a good question because like, I feel like most Star Wars fans, it's like the question should be like, what's the vibe that you're feeling? Cause like one week I could, like I said, like love Revenge of the Sith. And then the next week it could be like Empire or New Hope, you know, it just depends on the flavor of the week, you know?
If I want to be cozy and I'm just like relaxing, I'll watch the original trilogy. But if I want to be like super into it, I watch the prequels because I like watching like Anakin
just go ham
on his bullshit. Yeah. So what else do we got?
Basically the sequels.
No, that's it, right? No, I'm just kidding.
It's all good. It's all good.
The Force Awakens.
So many people were like that. They're like, yeah, we're done, right? We're done.
No, The Force Awakens. I love the like. I remember seeing the trailer for it because I loved the trailer. It got me so hyped, and seeing like where Finn takes his helmet off and he just looks like he's like in such a daze. Yeah, he's like, what the hell's going on? And then Kylo Ren walks off the ship for the first time, and you see him and you hear him. I love that moment. I also love when Rey first starts flying the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, dude, so cool. And they're like, that one's garbage. The garbage you're doing. Like,
yeah, right. That's such a cool. Or Han Solo saying like, "Oh, we're home, Chewie, we're home." Like that's, I think that's the best sequel movie by a mile. And it's
100%, dude. When he's talking about the 4, he's like, "Oh, like you know about like the Jedi and stuff like that." He's like, "It's true, all of it." You know, it kind of gives you chills. You know,
no, it does. It does.
Because in A New Hope, he's like, oh, ancient hokey blasters or hokey weapons and ancient religions are like no match for a good blaster. And then he's like, everything's real. You know, he's like a believer now. So it's like crazy. Well,
that's kind of like what they did with Din in The Mandalorian. He was like, oh, you space wizards and like your swords, like your laser swords. Like, how the hell did you do that magic finger thing?
Oh, dude.
Like, he has no idea. He's never
Carl Weathers.
Shit.
Do the magic hand thing.
Do
baby.
the magic hand. Do the magic. I love that. I love Carl Weathers.
Oh, dude. He's Apollo Creed forever, man.
Oh, so good. Carl Weathers. He was the perfect cast for that character.
Oh, 100%.
So good. But yeah, I do like that when he's like, oh, it's all real. Like it gives me chills. That movie is probably the only sequel movie that I watch like religiously. I do like that one.
Yeah, it's good. Also, Rey's theme when she's like sliding down like the giant sand thing, which I'm like, that's got to be a bucket list thing. I got to slide. I don't know where that amount of sand is, but I need to slide down something like that on a sled. Yeah. Her theme, man. Her like it goes dun, 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 dun. I'm like, dude.
I like how it starts too, like how she's like kind of like you don't even know if it's a girl or a guy. Like you just like she's got like the head wrap on and the goggles, and she's just kind of scavenging just to survive. I like that like lifestyle.
Yeah, the no one aspect they kind of I feel like they dropped that as the movies went on, but I feel like that was the most interesting thing about her, that she was just kind of like somebody out of left field that just like, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was like the Force found her would have been like a good type way to go with it, but like
the Force Awakens, man,
they gotta tie it into the Skywalkers somehow. So I mean, like Skywalker saga, Last Jedi. Oh my god,
skip.
I'm not a fan of this movie.
I feel that I'm in the same boat for that. So like,
I can't hate on people that enjoy it though. Like I enjoy everything Star Wars. I watched it. Going to see it, I was like, okay, it's Star Wars. Like, it wasn't my favorite movie. I'm not the happiest leaving. And I'm not the happiest whenever I watch it, but like, it's still Star Wars, and I still enjoy it when I watch it. So
I like it because like the whole reason why I do this podcast is to get like other people's perspective on Star Wars. That's why I call it Star Wars Perspectives. Yeah. And I actually really do like it. Like when people do like it, because I feel like I get more insight into like, I analyzed the original trilogy and the prequels like all the time, and there's still stuff that I catch, but I don't do that with the sequels. But when somebody else like they like that's their that's their shit. Like they love that. It's interesting to see insights, and even if I don't agree with it, it's cool to see different. I had I don't know if you were on or you were part of Cloud City when Darth Samarius came on, or if he's been on.
I know of him, but like I don't like.
But he really likes the sequel trilogy, and like his take on it when I had him on the podcast, like it was really interesting to kind of see that, So I like both sides of the coin, The thing that I don't like is when people just be like, "Oh, those movies are garbage," and if you like them, you're garbage too. Like that, I don't like.
That's closed mind thinking.
Yeah,
closed minded thinking. But like, you also have to understand that like the older generation that like grew up with the originals, they hated the prequels. They hated them.
Heavily,
they still do. And I love the prequels. I rival the prequels with the original trilogy.
Oh, 100%.
They're 100%. So good to me. Some of the campy stuff that you can complain about, I'm like, whatever. Like I love them so much. Yeah. And that's probably how the younger generation is that grew up with the sequels. That's their Star Wars, That's what they grew up with. So I mean, I hate to be the old bastard that hates the prequels. You know what I mean? Like
I'm right there with you. That's one thing. Cause like I probably would have had this podcast and done this YouTube channel like years ago, dude. I mean, I was born in 95, so I missed Phantom Menace, but like everything else I saw in theaters, like, I've been a fan since day one. And I remember like in school, like it was just everywhere. Anytime you brought up Star Wars, Hayden Christensen's acting's bad. The prequels are trash. And it's just like, it kind of closes you off. Like you don't want to talk to anybody about it. Cause like, you're just tired of like defending it. And like, that's why I always say like, man, if you don't like the sequels, like fine, don't talk about them, move on. Like there's plenty of Star Wars for everybody, and if you do love them, scream it from the freaking mountaintops and don't let anybody tell you differently.
I find Hayden Christensen's acting not bad. Like I don't know what people watch and think that it's so bad.
It's because of the lines, like him talking about sand, and you kind of have to like dive deeper into like I think he gets a lot of hate from two. The dialogue is not great. It's more Shakespearean. It's kind of goofy a little bit, and you kind of have to dive deeper into like what he's saying to actually get like the point behind what he's saying. But people like to meme about it and be like, oh, I don't like, how many times have you seen a meme where it's like, I don't like sand, or you've seen like memes of them and like when they're having a picnic in the middle of the field or whatever. Like, there's so many memes about that.
No, I get it. And it's a lot of it's campy, but like I enjoy it regardless. And the hate that I forgot what his name was, the young Anakin got for his role.
Jake Lloyd.
He
was so sad.
Absurd. That is absolutely absurd.
Him and Ahmed Best too. Jar Jar Binks, the guy who played Jar Jar Binks, both of them, dude, just bullied so much.
Like, I get it, Star Wars, and I get you guys are fans, but he's a child. Same with Leia. Same with Leia in the new Obi-Wan. Like, she's a child.
And she freaking nailed that role.
She killed it.
She was great.
Did such a good job. And people are like, oh, she's not convinced. She's supposed to act like a kid. She's a kid. Like, kids do stupid shit.
Yeah.
That's it. So, I mean, I don't know. So I don't like to hate on the sequels. I do enjoy them. I don't enjoy them nearly as much as I enjoy the other ones, but I do enjoy them.
Well, we joke about it. Like we said, we're like, oh, can we skip these? It's fun to, I think too, there's a lot of things within the community. People need to know, like, and it's kind of hard to tell when you don't know people, but like when it's like actually joking and when somebody's trying to be hateful and like be like, nah, you suck because you like this, because like we joke about it, like, whatever, we're not even going to talk about that. And so like that's joking, but like it's hard for some people to kind of tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. So it's just, I mean, The Last Jedi, my favorite thing about The Last Jedi would have to be I like when Kylo Ren is looking at Darth Vader's old helmet. Helmet. I feel like that's such a good scene. And I like the Force like connection that they had.
Yeah, the dyad thing. I guess before it was a dyad. But
so like the fact that they can like damn near see each other through the Force.
Yeah, that's cool.
Phone call each other. I think that's pretty cool. Like that's
Force Skype.
Yeah, basically. So I think that's a pretty cool aspect of it. And for The Rise of Skywalker, this movie was bad. I'm going to be honest. This movie was bad. And I had a lot of hype
all over
for
the
it going
place.
into it, though. I had a lot of hype for it going. Like, I feel like it would have been so good if you would have been able to see all of the Jedi talking to her at the end.
Dude, I know. I'm like, that would have made the movie for me. Like,
it would have done it all. I all could be forgiven if you would have just showed us every Jedi like as a Force ghost behind her. And
have you seen that edit on YouTube? Where they're
good.
doing like literally, I was like, it gave me chills, dude. Like they had like all the like they're empowering her and stuff like that.
So good. So
even if
they would have did like ghosts like helping her up, like helping her stand up and stuff like that too, like that would have been just phenomenal. Like
it would have made more sense too. Like they're almost like protecting her because like the whole thing is Palpatine wants like her to strike him down so he can like live within her. And I guess like the thing is like he wanted her to strike him down in anger so she turns to the dark side, but like technically she still strikes him down. So I was like, does Palpatine like live in her now? Because she kind of did what he wanted to, or is it like the Force? Like, did they like do like a force? They were talking to her and like created like a Force bubble, which like evaporated. Like, it's very like open ended. Where I'm like, what kind of happened with that? You know,
what one? I can't remember if this is the Last Jedi or this movie. What was the movie where Poe is just going head on his own against a destroyer?
It's the Last Jedi.
It is the Last Jedi. I love that moment. I think that's a really cool moment. Where he's taking out all their guns on his own.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool.
Poe's awesome. Yeah.
Poe is cool. Poe's an awesome pilot. I think he's such a great character.
Mm-hmm.
But Last Jedi, I'd say that fight on the Death Star between Rey and Kylo.
Dude, so cool. Why they didn't have music in it, I don't know. But the choreograph, like when Kylo Ren like flips his like saber and he's like walking through the rain and stuff like that.
And the fact, that they're all like the water's hitting them while they're like kind of like battling, and him seeing Han Solo again. That was a really good moment for me.
I cried so hard.
Yeah,
like,
it was sad.
It was like when he's like, "Hey kid," and I could just, as soon as I heard the "Hey kid," it was just like, I started getting like super watery, and I was like, I don't even care. Like they probably paid him. He didn't want to do it. They probably paid him a whole bunch of money, but it was, to me, it was like worth. You could even see it in like Adam Driver's face. Like it was just, oh man.
The Force Awakens, that kind of effed that movie up for me though, is when they killed Han Solo. I was like, no, like he's so good. How do you kill him?
See, for me, I didn't mind that because that I felt like one thing that the sequels didn't do very well is they didn't pass the torch very well. Mm-hmm. But I felt like the one torch that they did pass, I felt like that Kylo Ren needed to do that in order to return back to the light side, because that split him in half. Like when he killed Han Solo, the thing that I don't like is like they made Han a deadbeat dad. Like he just went back to being a smuggler. And I was like, dude, that like destroys his arc for like the whole original trilogy.
They destroyed all of their arcs.
Yeah, for sure. We won't even get into Luke, but
one sec. I got it. 1 sec.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was talking to somebody.
Oh no, you're good, dude. You're good. But yeah, man, it's they didn't pass the torch very well, but it is what it is, man. We got what we got, and we're getting awesome stuff now, dude. Like I think Ahsoka's gonna slap. I'm excited for Bad Batch. I'm excited for Mando season 3. I mean, that's coming out in March?
Yeah,
so
that comes out soon.
I mean, all that stuff is sick.
What else is there? There's the Acolyte comes out too.
That comes out. Yeah, that looks cool. I'm excited to kind of see. I'm excited for newer stuff. I'm glad that they're kind of branching out. To me, I don't think Disney knows exactly what to do with like legacy characters. Because to me, like I enjoyed Boba, but there was a Book of Boba, but there was a lot of stuff that I was like, not really for me. And the same with Kenobi. Like the parts of Kenobi that were supposed to slap like hit hard. Like the scenes with Anakin, the scenes with Obi-Wan and Leia, and then like at the very end with Vader and Obi-Wan and all that like slap. But there was a lot of stuff in between that I was like, I don't really know how I feel about that. And that's okay. But like I feel like they kind of stumble with the legacy characters. So I'm excited for them to kind of brand. That's why I was excited about Andor, It's because Andor is a new character, you know. Ahsoka, Dave Filoni's the GOAT, so I'm not worried about that. Mando was great. That's a whole new character. And then the Acolyte, you know, we got that as well. So
I feel like the Mandalorian did so well because he took all the traits from Boba Fett that people loved.
Oh yeah, it's like Boba Fett. I feel like Mando is Boba Fett in his prime, but just with a father, son, and
Mando is Boba Fett from like Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back. The Boba Fett that people like fell in love with, like the mysterious guy, doesn't take his helmet off. He very rarely talks, and he's a bounty hunter, and he's just a badass. Like that's Mando. He stole all of Boba's best traits, and then they had to make a Boba show. So they were like, well, we can't make the same guy because it'd be the same show. So like,
but you can.
But you can and you will. No.
You did. Like, that's the thing is like that. I think that was another reason for Boba. And I actually want to talk to you about the book of Boba Fett, because I know you're a big Boba fan too. They cued Boba and that's why another reason why I think Boba didn't slap as hard as it should have is because him and Mando, I think it's Mando season 2, where he's like beating the crap out of all the stormtroopers and stuff like that. They cued him and teed him up so hard to like just come in and be like a John Wick character in the book of Boba Fett. And then we got like, I'm done with that life. And we're just like, what? No.
I don't even want to talk about it, man. They made him so cool. His entry into the Mandalorian season 2 was
epic.
All I wanted. It was all I wanted. I mean, I knew when you see him at the end of the first episode and he's like staring at Mando go through the desert on the bike and he's like staring at his armor, you know he's in it, but you know he's gonna come, he's gonna show up, but you don't know when. And when you see him on the planet, I forgot what planet. I don't even know what it's called.
Lothal, maybe? Is it Lothal or no? Ryloth? No. It's one of those. It's one of those rocky planets.
Yeah, something. I don't know that it's Lothal, but you see like the music starts going and then you see the slave one just panning and like, Mando looks, he's like, who the fuck is here? Like who the fuck is this? And everybody watching is like, he's back. He's back. So, and then he just, as soon as he puts on the armor, he just starts crushing stormtroopers' helmets and you're like, my boy is back. He's returned. Just for you to be anticipated at the end of the show that he's getting his own show. And then it was just like oh my God, you had him, you had an alley-oop to his character and you just totally missed it. And it's just, I mean,
it's unfortunate because I think with a few like tweaks, the book of Boba Fett would have been like amazing. Like I feel like they were saving everything for like the end because he has that badassness that you get. I forget what, like episode like 6 or 7 or whatever of Mando.
I think it's episode 8. I think.
I forget how many episodes there are, but yeah. But he does that in the last episode. Like he's using his knee. Like you see, like Din kind of gets overwhelmed, and Boba Fett's like, "Stand aside, son. Let me." Like he does like the knee rocket thing where
because he's got the like experience of being like just a badass. I mean,
and we're like, where was that the whole freaking show? Like we wanted that for the entirety. Like he doesn't need to be cracking skulls the whole show, but like not making him,
just showing that he can is what I want to see.
Yeah,
and he killed Cad Bane, and that's all great and all.
Well,
I did not enjoy. Maybe, but I did not enjoy the manner that he did take him out.
Yeah,
I thought that they kind of copped out, like oh, technicality, like I got you, but like I didn't really get you. I felt like it was a type thing where it was Cad Bane is the evil villain. And the hero takes advantage when the evil villain's explaining his plot, basically.
Mustache twirling and stuff.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, you're gloating and then you die. I mean, he's on the ground and he stabs you or he hits you down and knocks you down and then stabs you in the chest. But it's like they made it so that like when they did the draw, he like destroyed Boba Fett like twice. And it was like, I get it's Cad Bane, but like Boba Fett's supposed to be the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy.
Yeah.
He's getting bitched by Cad Bane.
Well, it's like also too, like in the comics and stuff like that, like I think Jango and Cad like work together and like Cad could beat him. Like Jango was the best. And like, I get like you go through different arcs and stuff like that. It's like, I get but he's pretty much identical to Django. So you would think he would have the same reflexes and skills. Like, I get they're different people, but you would still feel like he would have the same, because he followed the same steps as his dad and stuff like that. So
if anything, you'd feel like maybe he's even better than Django, because like he's been doing it against more fierce like opponent. He's been doing it for like the Empire. He's probably hunted Jedi more than Django ever had to,
for sure.
You know, so like,
well, definitely in Legends Boba is like a whole different beast.
Badass.
Yeah, he's like a different beast.
Yeah. So, I mean, that aspect, I feel like Boba should have been like, I don't know. I feel like that he should have handled, because they were doing that. Filoni had the cartoon version that was going to be in the Clone Wars of Boba Fett versus Cad Bane. It was never finished, but
where he got his dent.
Yeah, he got his dent, but he kills Cad Bane. Like, he gets hit in the head, but they're at almost equals, but he kills him and he lives. I feel like that type of thing would have been better.
We need to see that, because it obviously happens, because in Bad Batch, Cad has the patch on his head. Yeah. So that fight happens.
Yeah.
I would imagine. I mean, unless they make up something else to have it, but like, man, like, I would love to see that maybe in like Bad Batch or something like that. Maybe they fight in that or something, you know?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I feel like they could redeem themselves if they showed a younger version of Boba Fett and basically just throw it on the fact that he's older or whatever, even though they can't, because he was old in Mandalorian season 2 and he was badass, but like,
oh, he could have got freaking 1313, but they decided to cancel that game. That would have been sick.
Yeah.
But this is the question I wanted to ask you, because there is like rumors of Boba getting a second season. Like, it's not confirmed, obviously, but there's like whispers of a Boba season. What would you, because I feel like a lot of like diehard Boba fans were kind of disappointed in the first season. What would you like to see in the second season? You don't have to go super in depth or anything, but what would you like to see if they were to make a second season that would kind of like redeem some of the stuff that happened in the first season?
I'd kind of like to see him go back to like his roots, basically. Like I'd like to see him visit Camino at least.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Like, see what's of Camino now or something like that. Like, just go back to reminisce like where he was raised with his dad, like, and see some flashbacks of stuff like that. That would be cool. I also think like it's just like, I don't know, man. There's just so much for the character that I hope for, that I wanted, that we didn't get. I would like to see young versions of him, like when he first started off with his armor and stuff like that. Cool. That would be pretty cool. If they did a setup where it was like how they did Din in his first episode when he was in Book of Boba Fett, where he was kind of like out and about bounty hunting and he was chopping the people in half with the Darksaber. Yeah, that was sick. I would like to see something of that brutality with like Boba Fett. So like just episodes of like stuff like that. Like that. Very
cool. Yeah, I think, well, because like I thought it was going to be about like him fight. Like the Pikes are cool, like whatever, but like the Hutt concept was like really interesting to me. I was like, oh, he's gonna go up against the Hutts, like that's cool. Or like him going up against the Hutts, or like Crimson Dawn with like Kira. Like, I think that would be super cool, because I thought that was interesting about Solo. It was like Kira was trained by Darth. I'm shocker. I'm a big Darth Maul fan. And he was like, I think, and she's still around by that time. So like,
I mean, she has to be leading it because Maul's dead by that point in time. So yes, she would probably be leading it. If anybody would be. So,
but yeah, how cool would that be if like, I think it would be cool if they like, I love Tatooine, but I think they need to get off, like you were saying, kind of like start him off and like, maybe he's on like Nar Shaddaa or something like that. Like some like planet with a whole bunch of lights and like casinos and stuff like that. Kind of like making Blade Runner aesthetic or something.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be a cool like aesthetic, like a Blade Runner type thing for him. I feel like the way they set it up is Tatooine's some side planet, the Outer Rim nobody even ever visits, and it seems like everybody visits. So it's like everybody ends up on Tatooine. It's like a place that you don't go to, you just end up there. It's just like
Well, I think it's cool too, because like I think so they're like making Cobb Vanth like RoboCop or something like that. That was like the last scene. Like I think they teed it up perfectly. Like Boba's like, I don't know if this is like the life for me. Like this is what I want. have him go back to being a bounty hunter or mercenary, or even keep him as a daimyo and like have like Cobb like act in his stead or whatever, like watch over his like dominion or whatever, and then have Boba Fett take on whatever. I feel like they could do so much with it, but who knows? I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that was a big part of the show that I kind of was like, what? Like he was kind of like, all right, I'm tired of doing this. And it was like the whole show you established that you wanted to do this. Mm-hmm. And now that you don't want to do this, it kind of makes the show useless. Yeah. Like everything you just did. Same with The Mandalorian. Like the Book of Boba Fett made the whole season 2 of The Mandalorian useless.
Yeah.
Because he's looking for the whole season 2 to get rid of Grogu to find Luke or somebody to train him.
Yeah.
And then in one episode of Book of Boba Fett, all of that is reversed and he has Grogu again. It's like,
yeah.
It's well, like, it's, I don't know.
To me, it was just like, a lot of people joke and say like it's Mandalorian like 2.5 or whatever, because like 2 of them, like the episodes are about him. To me, I think it was just because of COVID and everything. Like they threw that in there to be like, hey, don't forget about the Mandalorian. Like it's coming back soon. Like don't forget about the character. You know?
Yeah.
That's what it kind of felt like to me. But
I kind of wish they kept Grogu off the show. I kind of wish the whole Grogu storyline was done with. I like Grogu as a character. I think he's a good plot driver, but like, I feel like he was a small part of what Din's story should have been.
Right.
And like, it shouldn't be his whole personality, his whole story. So like, I like Grogu. I would have liked it better if they would have kept him off the show, maybe see some side things, give him and Luke his own show or something like that. That would have been cool.
Please.
But the fact that they put him back with Din, I was like, I don't really like that decision, but I'm not the head guy making the decision. So it doesn't matter what I think.
Well, it does on this podcast because this is all about you, man. No. So to kind of finish this up, I like to do a thing called Mynock Minutes, where I just ask you a lot of like, what's your favorite this, or like, who would you be in the universe and stuff like that. So I'm gonna lob some questions at you to kind of close out the podcast.
Alrighty.
If you were in the Star Wars universe, who would you be? Would you be a Jedi? Would you be a Sith, a Mandalorian, a smuggler? Who would you want to be?
So I mean, I feel like it's an easy question.
Yeah.
At least. I mean, I like the Jedi. I think the Jedi have cool powers. Like, and I would certainly love to be like, have the like abilities of a Jedi. But I tend, like with all my cosplays, I cosplay Deadpool and Daredevil, and like I like anti-hero type out for themselves type guys. So I would probably jump on like the Mandalorian or a bounty hunter type.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you because like people always get confused. Like not all Mandalorians are bounty hunters. So I didn't know if like, would you rather be like a Mandalorian or would you rather be like a bounty hunter? I mean, you could be a Mandalorian bounty hunter, but like,
yeah, I'd rather be a Mandalorian bounty hunter, but like, yeah, I'd rather probably be a Mandalorian.
Okay.
So very like, cool. I mean,
if you had to be trained by a Jedi or Sith master, who would you want to be trained by?
That's tough because there's so many good ones. I feel like I would want to be trained by Count Dooku.
Ooh, okay.
If he wasn't on Emperor Palpatine's payroll, basically.
I got you.
Like, if he didn't have an agenda, I feel like his skills are like more than almost any other Force users.
So kind of like Dooku in Tales of the Jedi, almost a little bit, like where he's still a Jedi. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If so, you're in the Jedi Temple or in the Sith Temple, you're creating your saber. What kind of saber would you want, and what colors would you want for your saber?
So my favorite color is red, but I would not be a Sith. So I feel like I'd lean towards like it'd be like a more black and chrome type hilt.
Ooh, okay.
With like maybe like some accent gold pieces here and there, and then have like I think I'd have like an orange.
Ooh, like okay.
Lightsaber, so
what kind of style would it be? Would it be a single blade, double blade?
It would definitely be like a single blade, but I like if you saw the Survivor trailer, the lightsaber he was holding, he had the two, like it wasn't as messy as Kylo Ren's, but it had the 2 hilt things popping out.
Oh yeah.
I like that clean hilt type look, so I think it'd be like orange with like the 2 like little exhaust clean.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, it kind of reminded me very Old Republic, because a lot of the Old Republic, like if they have a cross guard, like they have kind of that kind of similar.
Yeah.
Which I'm super excited for, because it looked like it was longer too. It kind of looked like it was almost like a great sword or something.
That's what I thought. It looks more of like a medieval weapon type.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. What are if you had to pick 3 characters, what are your top 3 favorite characters? They don't have to be in any order or anything, but like what you're feeling right now. Who are you vibing with?
Boba Fett, Din Djarin are
awesome.
Top 2. Expected. I'm an open book. I feel like I want to say I'm gonna keep it away from all Mandalorians. Jango Fett is in my top 3 or 4.
Okay.
But I'll have to say Vader. I like Vader too.
Ooh, Vader's sick. Yeah. All right. If you had to bring one force power into real life, but only you could have it, what force power would you want?
I feel like the force healing would be the coolest one to have.
I've actually got a lot of that lately. Like that was like the last couple ones I've had. People have said force healing, and I'm like, I can't even blame you, man. That'd be like, just like
such a cool. You're just like, ow, oh, no, I'm all right.
I broke my leg. Oh no, I'm good.
Do the hand thing, yeah.
Yeah, do the magic hand thing. Okay, so we're gonna build a Star Wars family. You get to pick a mom, a dad, a best friend, and an arch enemy. And we'll start with the mom and dad. Who would you want to be your mom and dad from Star Wars?
Padme. I would want Padme as a mom. She would seem like such a good like
got good mom vibes. Very confident, very headstrong for sure.
Father. I feel like Qui-Gon would be a good father figure.
Heck yeah.
So Obi-Wan, I like to think I feel like Obi-Wan would be the type dad where he'd be like, he tried but he failed. So like, and who else did you say?
So you got the mom, the dad, a best friend, and then an arch enemy.
Best friend, I feel like I'd be best friends with like I feel like Anakin before he turns.
Okay.
Would be really cool. Like he seems like a fun personality before he was like, evil. So
definitely likes to get into some shenanigans, that's for sure.
And my arch nemesis would probably be like Mace Windu.
Okay. What an arch nemesis to have. Yeah, he is a dick. That is so the final question I'm gonna ask you is, if Disney called you up and was like, Dakota, we need an idea. It can be something for a movie, for a video game, for a comic book, whatever you want to pitch us. What would you pitch them? Like, what idea would it be? And then like, what genre would it be?
I feel like it would be a video game.
Finally, somebody says a video game. Everybody's like, oh, I want to do a movie or animated. No, nobody ever does.
I feel like it would be a video game. And I feel like it would be like a horror Star Wars video game.
Okay.
So maybe like if you're think of like an aspect of like a, I don't know. It'd be hard to come up with like a storyline that would
Ewok
be
hunt
or Ewok
on steroids.
Yeah, I mean, like you're a droid in the middle of Tatooine trying to evade the Jawas.
Oh yeah.
No, probably like I don't know. Like I think going to like dealing with Force ghosts and ghosts in general, but having them not be so kind to you.
Okay.
Somebody that like they didn't want there. So like say like you're like a thief, not even a Jedi, and you like are breaking into Jedi temples and they like don't want you there or something like that. So
yeah.
Something like that. That'd be cool.
Like an Indiana Jones style thing, but like with a horror twist. Like you go into like Jedi and Sith temples and you have to like fight off whatever.
That'd be
Interesting. Okay, I'd play it. I'd get the shit scared out of me because I hate scary games. But
yeah, well,
I'd play it.
It would force all the Star Wars nerds to jump into a horror game. So
force. I see what you did there.
Oh yeah.
But man, thank you so much. We're sitting at about an hour and 33 minutes. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to me about Star Wars and sharing your Star Wars experience with us. Let the good people know where they can find you at.
You can find me at Instagram and TikTok at Jarin. I have a YouTube. I don't post a ton there, but it's the same handle. And thank you so much for having me, Max. It was awesome time. So.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. It's been fun. I hope to have you on again sometime.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. I'd love to be back. So
thank you guys for watching. And as always, may the force be with you.